What is fund balance, and how does Northwestern Lehigh use its fund balance? Fund balance is an accounting term that is the difference between what the district owns and what the district owes. The district's fund balance as of June 30th, 2015 was $19.6 million. We will discuss the individual categories of the district's fund balance. Fund balance is a snapshot that's measured annually on June 30th in conjunction with the district's annual audit process. To think of it in terms of a person's home, the district's assets are things like its buildings, fleet, and equipment, as well as cash on hand and investments. The district's liabilities are things like bills to be paid, payroll obligations, and debt service payments, which are the district's mortgage payments. The difference between the assets and liabilities is called fund balance. Although fund balance can be best compared to a savings account, it is not the equivalent of a person's savings account because it is not entirely made up of cash. Fund balance also accounts for the district's non-cash assets such as receivables, equipment, and inventory. Why does the district need a fund balance? Fund balance demonstrates fiscal responsibility and the district's ability to proactively address future anticipated costs. It allows us to have cash on hand to deal with emergencies such as boiler failures. Fund balance provides adequate funds for cash flow needs throughout the year when expenditures are higher than revenues in a given month, and allows the district to operate without needing to borrow money when funding is not received by the state in a year when the state budget is not passed on time. A strong fund balance also allows the district to receive a higher bond rating, which in turn leads to lower interest rates on borrowed funds. Over the years, the district has strategically planned to build our fund balance in anticipation of increasing costs and future renovations and upgrades to facilities. The administration and school board intentionally planned to increase fund balance for personnel-related costs for contractual retiree medical benefits, retirement, and health care increases. In recent history, we have experienced favorable rates in our utilities and diesel fuel, and have been fortunate to have collected unplanned revenues due to real estate growth in the district. There's also been savings on budgeted expenditures due to staffing changes throughout the year. Now let's talk about the categories of fund balance and the specific purpose for the reserves. The district's committed fund balance is $10.8 million of the total $19.6 million. Categories within committed fund balance are segregated based on anticipated use and determined annually by the school board. Two categories within committed fund balance consist of reserves for personnel-related expenditures associated with employment contracts and future healthcare and retirement costs. While the district does not pay these ongoing costs with its fund balance, the reserves are used to minimize the impact in a given school year and smooth increases over several years to minimize the impact to district's educational programs. Third category is Emmaus bond pool rate stabilization. The district has some bonds with variable rate interest, which means the amount of interest paid towards paying off the debt changes monthly based on current market rates. These reserve funds were established to provide additional funding in the event interest rates spike and the district has to pay additional debt service. The fourth category is millage rate stabilization. These reserves are set aside to minimize significant future increases. This does not replace a tax increase, but instead these reserves will allow the district to phase in a necessary tax increase over several years to minimize the impact to the taxpayer by using fund balance in one year and raising taxes in subsequent years in small incremental increases. The last category in committed fund balance is energy stabilization. For the past few years, the district has experienced favorable market rates for electricity, heating oil, and diesel due to contracts with variable rate pricing. The savings from these favorable rates has been reserved for future energy costs as a mechanism to help mitigate volatile market rates associated with our utilities. One of the other categories of fund balance is called assigned fund balance. The district's total assigned fund balance is $7.4 million out of the total $19.6 million. This category is similar to committed, but it differs in that it does not require board approval to establish the categories. The superintendent and business administrator are responsible for making recommendations for the assigned categories. The first two categories are for technology and curriculum purchases. These reserves are used in budget years when additional funds are needed above the normal funding levels in the budget. The capital projects category is relatively new. The district recently completed a district-wide facility plan, which includes approximately $24 million of facility improvements and renovations. As a funding mechanism for some of these projects, the district established the capital projects assigned fund balance. Fourth category of assigned fund balance is for buses. The district has a replacement cycle in place to budget the replacement of 2 buses each school year. In the event additional buses are needed, these reserves are used to fund those purchases. The last category of assigned fund balance is for budget appropriations. When the district utilizes fund balance to balance its budget, that amount is removed from the other fund balance categories and put into this budget appropriation category. The remaining $1.4 million in fund balance is broken out between the final three categories: non-spendable, restricted, and unassigned. These categories are determined by legal, legislative, or outside party restrictions. Unassigned fund balance does not have a specific purpose and can be utilized for any reason. However, it cannot exceed 8% of total budgeted expenditures per Pennsylvania School Code requirement. Over the years, the district has strategically planned and managed its fund balance to meet its long-term fiscal goals of financial sustainability while maintaining the core educational programs of the district. Through intentional planning, as well as favorable revenue and expenditure trends, the fund balance has increased in recent years. As a result, Northwestern Lehigh is better positioned to be prepared for the future uncertainty in local and state funding, as well as increasing costs associated with personnel and facilities. If you have questions about this video or would like more information about the district's budget and fund balance, please visit our website or contact Leslie Frisbee, the business administrator, at the phone number or email listed here.